Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on the RECOUP Awards 2023, meeting the finalists from the RECOUP Awards 2023, the technology finalists, and also hearing about how to enter the 2024 awards. So just a quick intro to start with, in case anybody doesn't know who we are. So RECOUP, we are the UK's leading independent authority and trusted voice on plastics resource efficiency and recycling. As a registered charity, our work is supported by our members who share our commitments, including a more sustainable use of plastics, meeting legislative requirements, increased plastics recycling, and improved environmental performance. We work with our members, so we have around 170 members who represent the whole supply chain. So we have waste management companies, we have plastic product manufacturers, we have universities, reprocessors, so anybody with an interest in improving plastics recycling and resource efficiency. We work to connect the whole value chain to keep plastics in a circular system that protects the environment, underpinned by evidence and knowledge. And we do this by leading, advising, challenging, and educating. Our work covers a number of different areas, so looking at topics such as reuse, citizen insight and education, packaging recyclability, recycling infrastructure, policy, etc. So the focus of today's webinar is the 2024 awards, which will be taking place on the 25th of September, 2024. These are free to enter and are currently open for entries, and all the details are on our website. So there are 3 awards categories: Best Plastic Product Development for Recyclability or Reuse, Best Innovation in Equipment or Technology, and Recycled Plastic Product of the Year. So we ran a webinar last week looking at some of the shortlisted and finalists for the product-related categories. So the best plastic product development for recyclability or reuse, and the recycled plastic product of the year, which you can catch up on if you would like to. It's available on our website. But today we'll be focusing in on the best innovation in equipment or technology. So we'll be hearing from some of last year's finalists and last year's winner for this award, and telling you a bit more about this awards category. So the entry form is on our website, so you can see the address up there. So there's a RECOUP Awards page on the website. So the entry form is via a Survey Monkey. There aren't a great deal of questions, so hopefully it's fairly easy to enter into it. So for this category, Best Innovation in Equipment or Technology, we want to understand what made you aware that the equipment or technology needed to be developed to improve collection, sorting, reprocessing, or the reuse of plastics. Outline the development phase for the improvements made to this equipment or technology and include the date it was launched. What impact has the equipment or technology had on increasing collection, sorting, reprocessing, or reuse of plastics? And is it easy to increase its scalability? So it's really just trying to get an understanding of why that technology was developed, how it has been put to market, and the impact it's having on plastics recycling or resource efficiency. There is an option to include supporting material to be uploaded to your application. And we do ask to include any technical data you might have demonstrating how the new equipment or technology or new development to an existing piece of equipment or technology has improved the collection, sorting, reprocessing, or reuse of plastics to be supplied. So we're just trying to gather as much evidence as we can to put to our judges. So as much evidence as you can include will put you in a better situation for your entry. So as I mentioned, the awards are free to enter, and it's for both RECOUP members and non-members, so anybody is able to enter the awards. There are some important dates to keep in mind. So the 28th of June 2024 is the entry deadline. So we expect all entries need to be submitted by then, and we are quite strict on the deadline. There will not be an extension, so make sure they're in by the 28th of June. 5th of July, this is for the products rather than technology. We're not expecting technology to be sent to our offices, but by the 5th of July, if you are entering anything in the products awards, the products need to be sent to our RECOUP offices by this date. In July, the judging will take place. So this includes 2 RECOUP board representatives as judges and 1 external representative. And then in the week commencing 5th of August, we will notify the shortlist. Shortlisted entries do get 1 free in-person ticket to both our awards and pre-conference networking dinner held on the 25th of September, as well as 1 free in-person ticket for the 26th of September, our RECOUP conference. So just a reminder as well that the RECOUP conference held on the 26th of September 2024, tickets are now available. They are free to RECOUP members, so you can book as many people from your company as you would like to attend. But we also have tickets on sale for people who may not be RECOUP members. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen. So we are going to hear today from our winner of last year's category, which is Grey Parrot, and also from some of our shortlisted companies last year, so Polytag, Fiberite, and Sortflow. So we're going to start with our winner, Grey Parrot. So Matthew from Grey Parrot is going to talk you through.
Great, thank you. I'll just share my screen. Great. So it's my pleasure to have some time to introduce Grey Parrot's technology and what we've been doing in the industry to date. Our focus is all around providing data, not only for the sortation systems themselves, but also across the value chain, including policymakers and producers. Our unit itself is a camera system. It's used RGB cameras, and we're looking at light reflections, shape, and color to firstly identify what the material is, but then importantly extrapolate that out to weight so that we can provide a running mass balance of anything that comes underneath the sensor. And our mission as a company is to make sure that every piece of waste is valued across that chain. And we believe that tracking and traceability of this waste really helps us achieve that goal. So within the technology, we're able to identify 7 different layers of detail. We can look at the specific type of material, whether it's PET or HDPE, the mass of each item, as well as the financial value for reporting purposes. We can then do a lot of work within food grade, non-food grade statuses for code of practice reporting in that area. We also provide potential emissions reductions when we're looking at residue lines, as well as SKU tracking and coordination for technology such as robotics or optics. And our core focus is all around increasing the sortation efficiency of MRFs and PERFs. This is one of the key dashboards that we provide our customers. So on the left-hand side here, you can see the in-feed composition of the material inbound, and then how that's split into the various product lines and residue lines. And this is really important because it allows the operators to essentially do diagnostics to understand where the big wins for optimization would be, as well as monitoring the daily operation of the system. And the key thing to generating greater recovery through data is really about being able to inform some of the operation of the plant day to day. So as the throughput is increased on the front end, you'll often see greater losses on the back end, and obviously we're trying to hit a purity for end sale on the product lines. And there is a sweet spot within this that operators need to try to find in a daily running, and the Grey Parrot is able to provide real-time feedback so that that operation is as efficient and as stable as possible. So you can see on some of the graphs here. So on the left-hand side, we have quite a varying in-feed in terms of total mass. And that creates various inefficiencies through the system, such as certain lines being flooded, essentially, and more material ended up on the residue line. So what we do is we set threshold alerts so that whether we're prioritizing purity or loss reduction, we provide a real-time feedback to the operator feeding the plant, saying the plant is being run too hard. And that allows them to destabilize that in-feed on a continuous basis. And the exciting stuff then comes when we're able to then bring that knowledge and tie it into the systems themselves. So we've just started a strategic partnership with Bonograph, as an example, who are one of the partners that we'll be working with to create more dynamic controls within the systems themselves. So a key application for this is something like a recirculation line. In that situation, you have more and more material being added to your recirc line, and it becomes more contaminated over a period. So current methods include time dumping that material into the waste, essentially. But what we're able to do is look at the composition of that line and really put either direct into the in-feed of the system or into the residue, depending on that compositional split. But this data can be used by much wider sets of people as well. So a lot of our work at the moment is working directly with brands. We currently look at 1,800 different SKUs, and that enables us to look at the recyclability of different products. And our core mission this year is all around extending that. So both in terms of the brands we recognize, also moving into different waste streams and different geographies, as the SKUs can vary quite significantly even within one brand. And then here is some mock-up data. The goal here is to be able to provide proven recyclability for brands. So by counting every item that goes into the plant and which ones end up in non-target residue, and then obviously the final target for the material, we're able to quantify how recyclable that product is in the real world, taking into account the different types of sorting systems that are out there within the marketplace. And currently we have over 100 units out across the planet in 14 countries. That's growing exponentially. But the key for us is really to generate recovery at the MRF level and the perf level, and then to be able to utilize that data to create a better feedstock and more harmonious waste system altogether. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much,
Any questions?
Matthew. I forgot to mention, if anybody does have any questions, please pop them into the Q&A function. I think you answered my question as we were going through, because I spotted the fact that you could recognize the SKUs, but then my question was, what do the brands use this data for? Or are the brands aware of this data? But I'm guessing it's, as you said, it's really interesting data for them to understand the recyclability of what's going through the MRF and how it's being sorted. Are there any plans for like a next stage of grey powder? Are there any plans you're able to share of how you might develop this technology further, or the data usages?
Yeah, absolutely. For us, we focused today on being able to, as I mentioned, increase the recovery within MRFs and perfs themselves. We're now working increasingly with that group of stakeholders and also brands to look at dedicated projects within specific MRFs. Obviously, as that data set rises and we're able to track more of, say, the UK's waste sector, we're then able to look at where the materials are flowing through that entire system. But at present, what we're doing is we're looking specifically within one facility at a time, and then assessing how much of that specific SKU is recycled into the correct bucket. And then brands and producers are utilizing that data to then inform packaging decisions, so that it's more recyclable and easier for the MRFs and perfs to recycle.
Great, thank you. And I guess just one other question: how did you find the entry process to the RECOUP Awards last year, and any recognition that you achieved off the back of being the winner?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very easy process, I would say, to put in your suggestion into the awards. And for us, it was fantastic because obviously the RECOUP group has a lot of exposure, and we were able to talk to new customers and new stakeholders as well in order to widen the conversations that we're having. Certainly, our goal at Grey Parrot is to be helpful across the value chain, and RECOUP is a good place to do that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Matthew. Right, so our next speaker is Rosa from Polytag. So Rosa, if I could ask you to share your slides.
Yes, hi everyone. Let me just share these. Okay, brilliant. Hopefully you can all see that. So thank you very much for having me today. And thank you, RECOUP, for organising this great webinar with some other fantastic guests. My name's Rosa Knox-Bradley and I'm project manager here at Polytag. So today I thought I would take you through a bit about what Polytag is and how it all works. So to introduce ourselves, Polytag is a software company primarily that offers easy to access information on packaging life cycles and intuitive tools to optimize and incentivize recycling using two tag formats. So here are our two tag formats. So we use QR codes, which you can see on the left, and invisible UV tags on the right-hand side of the screen. So the one on the left-hand side, it can be unique every time, where each QR code is unique to each instance of packaging, almost like a fingerprint. And this is ideally used for rewarding customers for recycling. But we do also offer QR codes that are the same across an entire product, which is great for customer interaction. And then on the right there, we have invisible UV tags, which are invisible to the human eye, and they're just printed as part of the label making process. These tags are low cost, and we have worked with leading label producers and ink suppliers to create an ink that is fully recyclable, safe, and fluoresces brilliantly. You might notice as well on the right-hand side that all the tags are the same on the bottle, and this is because our UV tag reader, which I'll show you on the next slide, it only needs to read one of these codes, so it's given the bottle the best chance to be read. So here you can see the two ways that our tags are read. You can see the customer interacting with the tag on the left using their native camera app. So that customer will be taken from the QR code to a landing page, which in this example is created by Co-op, and it's fully branded and contains information about recycling or their sustainability efforts or projects that they're working on. It's completely up to the Co-op. And from this interaction, Co-op can see on the dashboard how many customers interact with this and their geography and where and when the tag is scanned. And then on the right-hand side is our UV tag reader, which is installed at Biffa Teesside, which was actually helped out with in a project called Bottle to Bottle that RECOUP ran last year. So this reads the UV tags that I showed just on the previous slide. The UV tag reader sits on the plastics conveyor and reads as many bottles that come through from inbound plastic. So again, Co-op can see on their dashboard exactly how much is recycled. So just to reiterate here, I'll show you this quick slide. We offer QR codes for customer interaction and UV tags for packaging lifecycle data. So with our unique every time QR codes, we can work with third-party apps to offer generous rewards and loyalty incentives. So we did this last summer with Ocado. I'll touch on that a bit later. On the bottom right here, on the future-proof your label area, so all of our codes are GS1 compliant, meaning that we reach a very particular standard of QR code. And these GS1 compliant QR codes are GS1 digital links. As they're known, these can be scanned the whole way through the supply chain and by customers. So it's at tills, by third-party apps, by native camera apps, all sorts. So we actually think that these QR codes are going to replace the standard 1D stripy barcode from as early as 2027, based on the work that GS1 are doing. And then lastly there, on the bottom left, we have talk directly to your customers. So we're all familiar with QR codes now, and it's a great way to stay engaged and have high quality eyes on your marketing and on your recycling information. So these landing pages are fully branded with company colors, videos, GIFs, and can be updated as often as the brand likes. So speaking of these customer interactions, this is what one of the brands might see when they log on to the Polytag dashboard. So they can see where the QR code was last scanned on the map there, how long the customer was on the page for, the dwell time, and it even shows you the last time that the item was read at a recycling centre or a MRF. You can see the UV live feed there, so it's in black and white, just to really fluoresce the tags. And then this is just another quick view showing brands and retailers' various data points provided by the two tag formats. So how does it work? Just to delve a bit deeper into the QR codes now. So these are the GS1 digital link QR codes, which, as I mentioned, can be read by various members of the supply chain, at tills, by customers, and by any apps that are enabled to read them. So the USP of Polytag is the ability to manage hundreds of these codes all on our platform, with rich analytics and generating these GS1 digital link QR codes. So these can be plate or digitally printed, and we also offer the unique every time, which I briefly mentioned. So to get these, it can be digitally printed or standard plate printing process with a digital finish, to get a bit technical. And then just quickly to touch on our other tag format, our invisible tags. So these are GS1 2D data matrices, and you might notice they're a little bit different from QR codes. So the general public aren't meant to see these or interact with them. So it's not important for them to contain a URL in its syntax. So it's just a set of numbers, as you can see there, the 010. So these have a really good error correction rate. And there are loads printed on each bottle. So our UV tag reader only needs to see about 80% of one of these codes to be read, thanks to the error correction rate. So I thought I would just take you now through a couple of quick case studies to show what we've done over the past few years. So Ocado Retail. Ocado were our first customer, and it was one of my first projects with Polytag, so they have a special place in my heart. So we initially started on their milk because it has a short shelf life and a large consumption rate, which gives Ocado great data from day dot. So to date, we've printed millions of these unique every time QR codes. And just last summer, we ran a project with an app called Bauer, where customers were rewarded 20p for recycling one of each instances of packaging of milk that they put in their registered bin. So this worked off geolocation and image recognition. So customers took a photo of their bin and it geographically registered where it was. And every time they recycled, they got 20p. So this was an amazing project. We were really shocked at how fast the cash pot depleted. And we're still actually seeing engagement now, even though customers don't get any extra reward for recycling. So it was a great tool to prove the viability of digital deposit return schemes. And Ocado really love our platform and this method of interacting with customers. So you can vaguely see actually on the right-hand side what one of their landing pages looked like, really zoomed out. But now they have over 50 products registered with Polytag that are either have or are soon going to have QR codes on them. And we're also working to get more UV tags on their products too. And then finally, we have Co-op, which was another one of our first customers. So for this project, we printed 75,000 2-litre water bottles that had both the unique every time QR codes and invisible UV tags. And all of this printing is always at standard industry speeds. It doesn't slow down anything. So this was a smaller production run. We were only doing 75,000 for a limited time, and they only went to North Wales, sort of Manchester area and Northeast England. but we still have seen QR codes be interacted with all over the globe, which is really fascinating. You can see, you know, the pattern of consumption. So we've spotted some in France and Paris, in Italy. So people must be taking these water bottles on flights or road trips. And from the invisible tags as well, we only have a few MRFs currently enabled in the UK. We've got more on the roadmap for this year, but Co-op were able to see their recycling rates in the MRFs, which is really interesting. So that's me. It was a really quick introduction to Polytag. Thank you so much for listening. We're just about to launch a program called EcoTrace, where brands can sponsor a UV tag reader, and in return you get a load of good data. So if you're interested in that, do reach out. But that's everything from me. So many thanks. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you very much for that, Rosa. I'm certainly getting from both of the previous presentations the importance of data and how we can use the data that this technology produces to really increase recycling rates. I was just wondering on the so obviously the QR, the codes have dual applications, but the consumer interaction with the QR codes, you said you did mention you were able to see where they were picking up, where they were using it geographically. What kind of percentage interaction rate are you getting? So is it 50% of consumers are using the QR code, or can you measure that type of thing? So how many people are actually interacting with it?
Yeah, it's quite difficult to say. QR codes generally don't have too much of a high interaction rate. We wish it would be about 50%.
Yeah.
But I think it would be closer to about 2%. But if you think about it yourself, there's a lot of products on your shelf that have these QR codes that you might not necessarily always scan. But what we do see is when customers are scanning their QR codes, we actually have another data module on our platform that shows when they return for another scan, and we do get quite a high level of high quality eyes, we call them. They like to visit the QR code page quite regularly and see what's changed with the brand, which we think is really cool.
No, that's really interesting. We have had a question come in about the costs of using QR codes compared to UV. Isn't QR codes more cost effective than UV printing?
Well, it just depends. They're both really cost effective, actually. So we have a pricing page on our website for the QR codes, and then the UV tags. There's a bit more work to do that's more bespoke with the UV tags, because we need to understand your substrate and your usual printing process and how that all works. So it is still very low cost, still plate printed as part of the normal process, but we usually have a bespoke pricing model for the UV tags for the moment. But if you're interested, feel free to reach out, rosa@polytag.io.
Yeah, I'm sure like most things, it's a case-by-case basis, and it's you guys will be able to help anyone working out what the best solution is.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Rosa, for sharing about Polytag.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thanks. So next we're moving on to Joe, who's going to talk to us about Fiberite and their application, technology application from last year's awards.
Hi, good morning to everybody. My name's Joe Matocha. I'm the Joint Managing Director at Fiberite. I joined as a consultant just over 12 months ago and liked the business and the industry so much that I stayed. I think one of the things that I would recommend before I get into my presentation, just on the application and the presentations for the 24 awards, I think it's really something to avoid is to focus too much on the product and the tech. We're very guilty of this. We've got 3 PhDs in the business, and they tend to be very inward looking at our technology and how wonderful it is, which is great. But fundamentally, really what you need to get across is what can it do for your clients? What can it do for the industry? What can it do for the environment? What can it do for sustainability? they're the key points that I'd impress upon any entrants to the 24 awards to focus on. Yes, the technology is important because it's the technology category, but what does your product or service provide? Okay, so move on to the presentation. Okay, waste as a raw material. The thing that really enticed me to Fiberite was the fact that I've been in manufacturing all my life, various products, various industries, and making things is really in my DNA, I guess. And this is what's attracted me to Fiberite. We're a very different waste processing business. In fact, I don't like us being called a waste processing business. We are manufacturers. Fundamentally, what we do is to reduce the consumption of the world's natural resources to create a more sustainable future. That is our vision. So, in effect, we're replacing virgin materials by recovering raw materials from various waste streams. So we have a unique we have a unique expertise in the manufacture of these products. We've been going since 2009, so predominantly we've been an R&D business. We're now moving into that manufacturing and commercialization phase. We really do save thousands of tons of CO2. Our plant in Swansea at full capacity is around 60,000 tons, but you'll see later in the presentation what our vision is to take the business and the technology forward. Yeah, we're looking to scale up on this base. We've got an excellent team, as I said before, three PhDs, very bright, very focused on their work, and really, as an organisation, we are passionate about helping all sectors to develop circular solutions. We believe that we're creating a transformational and sustainable global legacy. So, as I said earlier, we've been at the R&D for 14 years, and I can say things like this because I'm not from the waste industry, but I'm shocked at how the waste industry lazily burns and buries valuable raw materials. Don't think of it as waste, think of it as a raw material, I think is one of our mantras. We're passionate about eliminating waste through our technologies. We have 2 patents, which I'll go through. We've got a great team of people, and ultimately we manufacture useful, consistent quality products. And I think that's the key as well. When I look at, there's lots of people recovering plastic, lots of companies recovering plastic around the UK and the rest of the world. But are those materials consistent? Do they meet a particular standard that the end users are looking for? I guess what I've done is applied my experience and knowledge of the manufacturing sector into the waste sector. We make no apology for challenging convention and to push boundaries to achieve our goals. At the moment, around 85% of what comes in is recovered. We are working on recovering that other 15%. Tends to be mainly textiles, which we don't really process, and other things. You know, the odd mattress and the odd car engine. We believe that we can deliver a true economic circularity to brand owners and retailers. So our process, everything that comes in is pulped, so it's in a very large pulper. What that does is separate out, we wash out the organics from the inert materials, so plastics and metals go off in a stream. Bearing in mind, our main feedstock is MRF residues. We shouldn't really have any metal in there, ferrous or non-ferrous, but it just shows how poor some of the MRF facilities are, that we're getting quite a lot. It's, you know, frankly, it's free money to us. We don't have an AD plant in Swansea, but future designs will be able to run the plant from renewable energy, from the biogas created from the anaerobic digestion. We then recover the materials, so metals, rigid plastics, plastic paper, etc., and then the food waste to go back into the AD. So at the moment, what we have at Fiberite is this process flow here. So if we start at the top, the waste comes in, MRF residues, as I say, and some more and more commercial and industrial waste from fast food outlets, restaurants, pub chains, that sort of thing. So top line, plastics and rigid film. So
Joe, I don't know if it's just me, but we've lost your sound.
That's it, I'm back now.
Yeah, you're
Sorry,
back now.
sorry about that. Okay, sorry. So our current process flow, MRF residues and industrial and commercial waste comes in through hydrocycle, which is a big pulper. We separate out plastics in film and rigids. We then produce two products, Hydroflex, which is our flexible film product. That is in production now. Hydroflake is our next project. At the moment, we're just selling mixed rigid plastics, but eventually we'll be able to separate out PP, PE, and PET, grind it and sell it back as a raw material. We are looking to add agglomeration to our process as well to assist transport. Again, always mindful of maximizing transport to reduce CO2. And then we sell to extruders, which goes back into new plastics. Paper and card, we produce pulp. At the moment, we have outlets in pulp molding, animal bedding, and back into container board. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, not being a waste expert, is there is more and more paper and card coming from various food on the go outlets, supermarket packaging, etc. And it's seen as a greener alternative to plastic. Reality is that food contaminated waste paper is very difficult to process in traditional channels. We can actually pulp it very easily and clean it through our process. So that's something to watch out for. Metals, as I said earlier, we shouldn't be getting any of this, but we do. We sell it. And then there's that 15% waste, which we're working on to reduce. We're still looking for investment in the business, being a young business, whilst we've been aided by our shareholders and grant funding to actually build large-scale plants. As I'm sure everyone's aware, you need a lot of capital. Okay, so briefly on our product. So Hydroflake, I mentioned earlier, Hydroflex, the flexible plastics, Hydropulp, which is the pulp, and then the sugar production, which I'll come on to shortly, is Hydrolose. So talking about sugar, in paper and cardboard, there is naturally occurring sugar. We have a patented process which takes that sugar out of the waste paper and card, or out of the pulp in effect. That then goes off into lots of industries. So once you have sugar, you have a bio-based chemicals platform. So by fermenting it, you can get into lactic acid, which is into household cleaners, detergents, that sort of thing. So at the moment, we've got a pilot plant that we're proving the technology further, and we're going to be ready to scale up and build a large-scale plant. So we'll be able to turn all the waste card and paper that we receive into sugar, which goes off into various industries. So the eventual process flow, visionary, is, as you can see here, we're turning more into a chemicals company than we are a waste processing or manufacturing company. So the production of new plastics, we are looking to partner with various chemical recycling companies, pyrolysis being one method. There are others, so we're looking to choose our partner carefully. So all of the plastic will be produced back into all the polymers back into the monomer, which then goes off into new plastics. And the paper and card, which we then develop this bio-based chemicals platform, thermoset resins, lactic acids and surfactants, as I mentioned earlier. And then this waste, which any organic waste will be turned into energy to power the plant. So we really do believe we're driving the circular economy, saving thousands of tons of CO2. An example of that circularity is we're working with a large insulation supplier just up the road from us in South Wales, who are using sugar as a binding agent, a thermoset resin for their insulation quilt. So in effect, household and commercial waste produced in Wales goes right the way around back into insulation to insulate homes. So very circular in its approach and sustainability credentials. This was a research by Imperial College in London looking at our CO2 savings compared to using virgin materials and burning and burying them. So obviously lots of CO2 in producing it and then lots of CO2 emitted from the burn and bury. Whereas by reviving the products and putting them back into raw materials, there's a huge saving in CO2. So in summary, we have 2 global patented processes. Our plant in Swansea is operational and open for business. We believe we have a disruptive business model. The next stage is to look at licensing opportunities in the UK, EU, and the rest of the world. Our patents are global. Another interesting point is we believe the technology can be adapted for MSW. So in effect, one bag and all in waste collection. Okay, it's very different to what's happening in the world of recycling today, but our technology can actually deliver this. And obviously savings of tens of thousands of tons of CO2. And if our technology is adopted globally, it's millions of tons. So that's me.
Thank you very much, Joe. Really interesting to see what you can do with the MRF residues.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, really interesting and good to know we can get some value from them. I had a question just around so you mentioned the Hydroflex and the Hydroflake.
Yeah.
What kind of plastic products can they go back into?
Yeah, at the moment we're focusing mainly on non-food, so not really suitable for food packaging, but quite a big plastic lumber market, building products, so lots of plastics in building products, hose pipes, buckets, wheelie bins, you name it. So it's that kind of plastic product. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for that, Joe.
Okay.
So just got one more presentation. It's from Luke Mallinger from SortFlow. He's not able to join us today, but has sent in a video recording. Luke is actually traveling in America, so it would be about 2:44 a.m. I think in the morning now. So it would be a little bit unfair to him to make him present. So I'll just share my screen and share his video. Second.
Hello, I'm Luc Mallinger, founder and CEO of SaltFlow. Sorry I couldn't give this presentation live as I'm currently in the US attending an industry event. Nonetheless, I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to tell you more about SaltFlow and the solution that we presented at the RECOUP Awards last year. I will kick off by telling you a little bit about what our company does. At SaltFlow, we develop software applications for the waste and recycling industry. We believe that the industry is at a turning point where new software solutions are needed to support its digital transformation. Our core mission is to craft some of those new solutions. A product that was featured in the RECOUP Awards is our pioneering digital twin application, SaltFlow AI Mapper. But before delving deeper into what this product does, let me just go back very briefly to where it started for us, as it sets the stage for this latest development. In 2020, when I founded the company, my objective was to create a dedicated mass balance modeling application for MRFs and waste sorting processes in general. I observed that the industry still mostly relied on Excel spreadsheets, and those had limitations at various levels. Excel is a great application in its own right, of course, but being a generalist application, it is long and tedious to build mass balance models with it. Mass balance models are really crucial for sorting operations, as they serve as the theoretical representation of the sorting performance, essential for technical and commercial evaluations of process, both existing and new. We released the prototype of SaltFlow process in late 2020, and have been iterating on it and improving it since. We're now just about to release version 3 of the application, and if you haven't already seen it, now is the best time because we're bringing some considerable improvements to what is already a powerful tool. As we were developing that mass balance tool further, it felt like we could do more for our customers who operate sorting plants. And we could add a brand new dimension to this tool by leveraging plant data in real time. That's where the idea for AI Mapper started. Mass balance models, when done right, are a snapshot of the process, the average or expected performance of the process for a given input material. This is very useful for planning and forecasting, but not so much for day-to-day monitoring and process optimization. And this is an area where we know there are gaps to address. Our goal with AI Mapper is to help existing operations to make sure that their process is working optimally at all times. The problem that we're trying to fix is that it's currently very hard for MRF and recycling operations to understand exactly how well the process performed in real time. Some operators use the term black box to qualify their sorting process. Others report that it could take weeks and sometimes months before noticing certain performance issues. And if you can't track performance issues in real time, how can you fix them and optimize performance? So why are these processes so difficult to track? There are, of course, several reasons, but an important factor is variability. Variability of the input and variability of the performance of the process. When we designed AI Mapper, we had some clear design principles in mind. We wanted a tool which is simple to use. We wanted it to cover the needs of the industry, and we wanted to be able to implement the tool into existing facilities easily without significant investment. So we took a very pragmatic view and tried to prioritize the data that was already there in plants, although most of the time that data isn't actually being used. With AI Mapper, we're feeding live data into a virtual replica of the plant and present it in a way that can be easily understood. In this first version, we used the data from optical sorters and AI vision systems, as they both gave us readings of the material throughput and composition at various stages of the process. Optical sorters are a bit of a no-brainer because, as mentioned earlier, they are already there in the process. And AI vision systems are there to complement and fill in the gaps. We started with 3 of the most prominent brands of equipment, 2 optical sorters manufacturers and 1 AI vision system company, as we wanted to build a system that is universal. So even if the data is coming from equipment from different brands, with SaltFlow AI Mapper, you can see all that data in one place and build a complete picture of what is happening at your plant. Bringing all this data together was challenging, of course. It was a bit of a learning curve for all of us, as this is something new in our industry. But because the data is coming from multiple sources and look different from one source to another, we have to normalize it and put it on level playing field before it can be used to run analysis and calculations. So these are some of the design principles we applied and challenges we faced when developing our digital twin application. We are very proud to now have a fully functional prototype, which we've been pilot testing at 2 facilities in the UK. During this pilot test, we have been able to track shift performance against average performance, and we also record downtime automatically. We can observe when equipment performance is degraded, either through NIR recovery calculation or by monitoring end product quality. We're also tracking the amount of target material ending up in residue and the recirculation loops, and this can help us observe degradations in other sections of the process. It's been great to see how AI vision technology can complement the data from optical sorters. When plant operators have that information easily accessible in real time, that gives them a better understanding of their process at all times, and that enables them to make operational decisions based on the insight that this data brings. But this is only the beginning for SortFlow AI Mapper. We're about to embark on the next phase of development and pilot testing, and we will be bringing on some great new features enabled by machine learning, and we'll also be integrating data from more equipment. Our vision is to build a tool that is truly universal, that can be deployed into any facility, and that empowers plant operators to get the most out of their sorting process. There will be no doubt plenty to talk about and to show you in future, and when the time is right, we'll share more information. That concludes my presentation. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to find out more or if you'd like to see a demo. Thank you, RECOUP, for this platform, and we look forward to engaging with you soon.
Great. So thanks to Luke for sending in that really informative video about SortFlow. So that is the end of our webinar. We have finished slightly early, but you can have some of your day back. Hopefully some of the insights shared today from our technology award winner and finalists will have inspired you for some entries for this year. So just a reminder, the entry deadline is the 28th of June. So next month, end of next month, it is free to enter for both RECOUP members and non-RECOUP members. So please, anybody who has an applicable entry, do take the time to put it in. We do also have the other 2 awards categories, which are more product focused, if they might be more of use to you. So thanks again to all of our speakers. If you do have any questions, please contact us, inquiry@recoup.org, or check out our website for the awards information. Thank you everyone for joining us today.